seven foods that are bad for brain health and that can set you up for cognitive decline and dementia.
Imagine eating certain food every day, thinking it's harmless or even good for you, only to find out that it's been silently damaging your brain. Dr. William Lee exposes 5 worst foods that are directly linked to dementia, and you might find some of them in your refrigerator or kitchen. Let's see what 5 foods can create a beneficial environment in your brain for dementia. Starting with the #1 brain-damaging food, added sugars. Added sugars play a vital part in the development of dementia. These sugars are usually found in processed food items like beverages, sodas, and sweets. If these foods are consumed in high quality, they result in weakened cognitive function and increased likelihood of dementia.
There are also beverages that are not sodas that are also sugar sweetened. For example, if you look at some fruit juices or iced teas, you might get at a gas station or at an airport. A lot of times they are sugar sweetened. Take a look at that. All right, like lemonade. You think that doesn't have sugar in it? Guess again, got added sugar.
One of the many ways added sugars affect the brain health is by interfering with the blood sugar levels. High sugar consumption results in rapid spikes in blood glucose, which after some time leads to insulin resistance. This hormone insulin is essential for maintaining blood sugar levels, but when the body becomes resistant to it, the blood sugar levels remain high. This condition, known as hyperglycemia, can readily harm the blood vessels, including those around the brain for blood supply. When there is reduced blood and oxygen supply to the brain, it can trigger cognitive decline and impair the brain function. In addition to this, foods with added sugars are also linked with inflammation, a key aspect in the onset of dementia. Chronic inflammation is known to harm the brain cells and disturb the neurological communication. Besides, inflammation can also give rise to amyloid plaques and tau tangles, which are the earliest signs of Alzheimer's. Lastly, these protein accumulations can also contribute to memory loss and cognitive deficits. A research study published in the Nutrition Journal discovered the link of free sugars and intrinsic sugars with the risk of dementia in the UK Biobank cohort. The study showed that consuming the free sugars present in beverages can increase the risk of all-cause dementia and Alzheimer's. Another research study discussed in the BMC Medicine involved 210,832 participants from the UK Biobank cohort and found that increased use of sugars was linked with high chances of all-cause dementia and Alzheimer's disease. The study also mentioned the importance of limiting sugar to prevent the onset of dementia. Dr. William Lee said in a video that beverages or sodas with added sugars are the most harmful drinks for your brain. According to him, these drinks can increase your likelihood of developing metabolic disease and type 2 diabetes, which ultimately pave the way for dementia.
Overwhelms your metabolism. All right. And it's not just the soda, but also diet sodas. All right. That's not supposed to have carbs. Well, diet sodas damage it a different way because some of the artificial sweeteners actually can damage your gut microbiome. But back to the sugar for a second. Clinical studies have shown that sugar-sweetened beverages like sodas increase your risk of metabolic disease. And once you have metabolic disease, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, now you are setting up for all the damage that diabetes can actually cause. That's been shown to increase the risk of dementia.
The second food or beverage on this list is alcohol, which is as damaging as any other sodas or sweetened beverages. Alcohol-related dementia, or more commonly called alcohol-induced major neurocognitive disorder, is an acute form of brain damage brought about by excessive and prolonged alcohol intake. This condition often results in major cognitive impairments as well as alterations in brain structure and function. Alcohol affects the brain through its neurotoxic effects. It can harm the brain cells and disturb the communications between neurons, ultimately causing cognitive decline. Persistent alcohol use can shrink the areas in the brain involved in decision-making, spatial awareness, and in keeping memories. This leads to a decreased brain volume and a lesser count of neurons, impairing the cognitive function. Moreover, alcohol can also interfere with the production of neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are important in the communication of brain cells. The interference with this process can lead to issues with memory, focus, and problem solving. Apart from this, alcohol has the potential to impact the blood flow to the brain. It can increase the blood pressure as well as the chances of heart disease and stroke, all of which indirectly contribute to vascular dementia. This sort of dementia is brought about by decreased blood flow to the brain, damaging the brain tissue and cognitive function. Lastly, alcohol causes the vitamin B1 or thiamine deficiency in the body, inducing a condition called Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. This condition brings about weakened memory, confusion, and difficulty with coordination. Thiamine is highly important for brain function, and its deficiency can contribute to long-term cognitive impairments. Many research studies prove the same. A research study published in JAMA Open Network showed that both abstinence and overconsumption of alcohol can increase the risk of dementia. Another research study discussed in Alzheimer's Research and Therapy concluded that chronic drinking can contribute to changes in brain structures, cognitive impairments, and increased likelihood of all sorts of dementia. According to Dr. William Lee, alcohol has severe effects on the liver, which detoxifies the body from harmful substances. However, when its function is affected, the toxins continue to circulate in the body and even in the brain. The harmful substances, including ammonia, reach the brain and impair its function. This results in drowsiness, sluggishness, and even confusion.
Hepatic encephalopathy, liver to the brain. The liver is not purifying the blood's got toxins in it, goes up to the brain, and now your brain's not functioning. All right. Ammonia is one of those things that the liver tries to manage and keep in low levels in the body. Got a lot of ammonia going into your brain, you're going to be sluggish and you're going to be drowsy and you're not going to be functioning clearly. This is something we see in the hospital for people who have failing livers. It can be due to alcohol, and you see this in their cognition. They're really not all there. All right.
Hold up. Did you know inflammation is one of the biggest causes of cancer, heart disease, and aging? And most people are making it worse with what they eat. That's why I put together the Anti-Inflammation and Immunity Smoothie and Juice Guide. 80+ science-backed recipes designed to stop inflammation, boost immunity, and help your body heal. Grab your copy now from the video description below. The next type of food on this brain-damaging foods is high carbs. A high carbohydrate diet, specifically the one with refined carbohydrates and sugars, is the major contributor to dementia. When it is consumed frequently, it results in many metabolic and vascular changes which affect the brain function. Carbohydrate-rich food directly impacts blood sugar levels, increasing them indefinitely. Foods like white bread, white pasta, and sugary snacks can trigger the blood glucose levels, which later give rise to insulin resistance. It occurs when the body's cells stop responding to insulin.
All right. So when you're really stuffing yourself with carbs. So let me tell you how this works. You're eating food, it's got carbs in it. The carbs get broken down into sugars. Those sugars wind up getting stored as fuel into your fat cells.
Insulin resistance is the hallmark of type 2 diabetes, which increases the risk of dementia. High blood sugar harms the blood vessels. This leads to decreased blood flow to the brain, impairing cognitive function, while increasing the likelihood of dementia. In addition to this, a high-carb diet can also increase inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Chronic inflammation can damage the brain cells and obstruct the communication between the neurons. Oxidative stress, which is triggered by the free radicals, also damages the brain cells and helps in the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Some high-carbohydrate foods include candies, pastries, sodas, white bread, white rice, chips, crackers, cookies, muffins, cakes, flavored yogurts, ice creams, and milkshakes. A research study showed the association between the high carbohydrate, HC diets, and Alzheimer's disease. HC diets can disrupt lipid metabolism in the brain, damaging the glucose transporters and amyloid precursor protein function. Lastly, Long-term and excessive insulin signaling from HC diets can also harm the neurons in the brain. Another research study published in the European Journal of Internal Medicine showed that high dietary carbohydrates, like fructose and absence of dietary fats and cholesterol, can lead to Alzheimer's. The glycation end products from a high carbohydrate diet can damage plasma proteins, which work with fats, cholesterol, and oxygen transport, leading to cholesterol deficiency in neurons and weakening their function. Dr. William Li advised on cutting out the carbohydrates from your diet. He said in a video that when a person consumes a high carbohydrate diet, there is a massive fat buildup around their organs called visceral fat. This fat induces inflammation in the body, including the brain.
That fat, that visceral fat grows inside your viscera. Viscera means your gut, okay, your guts. And this is like the kind of fat that grows like a baseball glove. It wraps around your organs. And when it becomes inflamed, guess what? Your entire organ system becomes inflamed. Your whole body gets inflamed. And remember what I told you at the very beginning. If your body gets inflamed, then your brain's going to actually suffer from the inflammation as well.
But before we continue, this content is provided for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions about your health or a medical condition. The fourth type of food on the list is ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods, which have a high amount of sugar, fats, and salts, are the type of foods you don't want to consume as they are the key player in the development of dementia. Aside from bakery items, deep-fried foods with a lot of trans fats can have a major impact on brain health. These foods are cooked in oils at high temperatures, which are oxidized, releasing harmful products like advanced glycation, end products, and trans fats. As a result, there is increased inflammation and oxidative stress in the body, leading to triggered brain aging and risk of cognitive decline. The unhealthy trans fats are known to have a negative impact on the brain. According to the studies, trans fats can reduce and shrink the size of gray matter in the brain. Gray matter is vital for processing information, decision-making, and storing memories. The shrinkage in its size can contribute to the impaired cognitive function. Lastly, these types of foods lack the essential minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants needed for optimal brain function. Therefore, a diet insufficient in these nutrients further elevates the risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases. A research study conducted by Harvard Health involved over 72,000 people aged 55 or more, gathering their 10-year data. The researchers found that people who had high intake of ultra-processed foods had 25% more risk of dementia than those who consumed these foods in small amounts. Another JAMA Neurology research involved 11,000 people with no dementia aged between 35 and 74, found a strong link between ultra-processed foods and dementia. The study found that middle-aged people who had a higher intake of ultra-processed foods had 28% more chances of cognitive decline. Dr. William Li says consuming deep-fried foods frequently can be harmful as they contain unhealthy substances like acrylamide and trans fats, which aid in the inflammation. Trans fats are also found in red meat, cheese, and butter in small amounts, which aren't harmful. But excessive amounts can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease as well as affect the brain function.
Probiotic food, a little bit actually could be good for your gut health, but it's got a lot of salt. Salt increases your risk of hypertension, high blood pressure, which then puts you at risk for stroke, which can damage your brain. Saturated fats, that can actually increase your risk for cardiovascular disease. You know, what's not bad for the heart, bad for the brain.
Before we continue, don't miss your chance to stay ahead in your brain health journey. Subscribe to the NeuroHealth 360 newsletter. Designed for those 50 and older, it's packed with expert insights, proven strategies, and delicious recipes to help you reduce dementia risk and keep your mind sharp. Sign up now using the pinned link below and start receiving weekly updates right in your inbox. The last food on our list is seafood. While seafood, especially fish, is often seen as a healthy choice, they can also contain mercury, a heavy metal which is harmful to brain health. Mercury in the fish can lead to neurotoxicity, which ultimately causes poor brain function and dementia. Mercury can also interfere with the normal functioning of neurons in the brain. It can block the production of neurotransmitters, resulting in poor communication between the brain cells. This leads to cognitive decline and the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. A research study published in the Metabolic Brain Disease explored the connection between the mercury exposure and Alzheimer's disease. The study showed that mercury, especially methylmercury from fish, can lead to the formation of amyloid plaques and tau tangles, which later give rise to Alzheimer's disease. Dr. William Lee said in his video that while fish is healthy for us because it contains omega-3 fatty acids, it can be harmful too. There are many toxins, including mercury, that are leached down in the ocean and fish feed on them. According to him, big fish like tuna, swordfish, bluefin, shark, and tilefish have a lot of mercury.
And basically, without the sheath, when they're clumped together, your brain neurons don't work normally. And that's why mercury poisoning leads to poor brain health and brain toxicity. All right. And that interferes with cognition. All right. And so you really want to be careful about eating seafood that is high in mercury.
That is it. If you liked watching this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Which of the 5 foods or drinks do you usually have? Share your thoughts below in the comments.